Hey everybody, it's your Uncle Bear. Happy Tuesday to you. Hope all is well in your world. Today, I want to talk a little bit about hours of service regulations. And this stems from an article I read this morning in Freight Waves regarding a bill that's being presented in Congress by Colorado Representative Jeff Hurd. And basically what this bill calls for is completely lifting any hours of service regulations or ELD regulations from anyone hauling livestock, insects, or aquatic animals. I'm assuming fish and bait. Anyway, now, of course, this isn't meant to slam. Being from South Dakota, I have a lot of friends that haul livestock. But this isn't a slam against anyone hauling livestock or the companies that haul livestock. This is just to point out some double speak from our government, per usual, in what is safe and what is not. Now, in 2021, Joe Biden put a provision into the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act that livestock haulers were exempt from logging anything in a 150-mile radius of the delivery of their livestock, which there was already an ag exemption that lets them not log anything within a 150-mile radius of their pickup point of livestock. So basically their first 150 and their last 150 miles are already exempt from having to log. Now, again, this isn't a slam against the drivers. Hell, if they did this with reefer units, with reefer haulers, I'd be all, yay, I'm an adult now. And that brings a point that presumably most of us out here driving these big trucks down the road are adults, so we can decide when we can and can't, when we're too tired to drive. That being said, let's go back to when the hours of service were first introduced in the trucking industry. And basically it boils down to back then, the trucking companies would literally run drivers to death. They would die of heart attacks, fiery crashes, the whole enchilada, so the government decided, well, we got to do something about this because it's crazy. All these drivers are dying, because the companies, if they stood up to the companies would say, hey, either do what we need or there's the door. And so they had to if they wanted to keep a job, right? So they came up with the hours of service regulations. Well, since then, they've, made tweaks and major changes, frankly, to the trucking industry, good, bad, or otherwise. But it's not like that anymore, okay? But I do think in today's trucking industry, the brokers, brokers weren't a thing back then, before hours of service regulations. Back in those days, the carriers, it was the carrier's freight, the brokers didn't come to be until after, as a force anyway, until after 1980 when Jimmy Carter's deregulation of the trucking industry came to pass. And when that came to pass, the broker industry just exploded. But honestly, nowadays the brokers, before they ever post the load, they've already got the pickup appointment and the delivery appointment already made, and they got it right down to the gnat's ass. I actually turned down a load for tomorrow that was going 1,400 miles, and they said if it picked up at 10 o'clock in the morning and then delivered on Wednesday morning and then delivered at 6 a.m. Friday morning. And if you don't make it by 10 a.m., which I don't know that I will, be on work-in status. No, that's not gonna fly, because I sleep at night. Oddly enough, I'm not an owl. So anyway, yeah, I turned that one down because it was too tight for my blood. I'm not saying it couldn't be done. I'm just saying I'm not gonna mess with it. Anyways, but yeah, I think it would be beneficial if it went back to the carriers scheduling the appointments on this stuff. But the brokers have to be the ones to schedule the appointment, because they're the ones booking all the loads with the shippers. So, here we are. And I think it would get to the point, if they lifted hours of service regulations on all of us, I think it would get back to that point where the brokers would actually start running drivers to death. And there would be things in the rate con saying that the driver has to make this appointment at this time, which would be considered illegal right now, but not then. But if not, they would deduct rates, and there would be fines, etc., etc. So yeah, I think it would be a bad thing. That being said, I think there does need to be a lot of changes to the hours of service regulations. But yeah, to lift it off of one sector of the industry and leave the permanently, and leave the rest, that sends a message that, hey, you know what? It's safe for them, but not for the rest of you. That's bullshit. If it's good for one sector of the industry, it's good for all the sectors of the industry. And I get it. The National Cattlemen's Beef Association, they're a big lobbyist in Washington, and they want to see that pass. And I'm sure they contribute a lot to campaigns and stuff. But like I say, if they want to revamp the hours of service regulations for all of us, I still say one of the worst things to happen to this industry was the get rid of the 15 hours midnight to midnight regulation. It basically made drivers more fatigued than what the 14-hour rule makes us more fatigued than that 15-hour rule ever did, because we had time to get up in the morning and go into the cafe and have a couple cups of coffee and eat breakfast if we wanted, shoot the breeze with other drivers. I never talked that early in the morning, and then stop for lunch, stop for a coffee break in the afternoon, and stop for a sit-down meal at supper time. Like humans do. Most of us don't have time to do that anymore. And it shouldn't be that way. It shouldn't be that way. But anyway, like I say, either it's safe for us to run, or it's not. Pick one, federal government. Everybody be safe out there. Be courteous to each other. We all get there faster and safer if we're all nicer to each other. Okay? That means if somebody goes to pass you, don't speed up and be a douchebag about it. Have a nice day, everybody. Hey, if you like these videos, be sure, I want to hear your comments, of course, and I want you to like it, I want you to share it, and with all your friends, and subscribe, please. Take care.